Hello and welcome back to Guild Wars 2. I've just finished Path of Fire, and I apologize if my voice sounds a little weird. I have gotten a cold, but we have some cool stuff to talk about. So, I don't want to do too much spoiler wise first, right? As usual, I want to talk non spoilers. Is Path of Fire worth it? 100%. If you're this far into Guild Wars 2, uh, you are probably already going to play through all of the expansions anyway. Path of Fire is a full expansion and feels great. I love the zones. I love the uh, elite specs that you can get in Path of Fire, though you can get them even without playing the content. The elite specs that come with Path of Fire are really cool. The zones are really great, and I absolutely love the mounts that you can get in Path of Fire, and we're going to get into that as well. I do have a lot I want to talk about. But the main chunk of this review is going to be story, and I don't want to spoil too much for you. So if you have not yet played Path of Fire, I firmly recommend that you do so first, because I will be spoiling everything in this. So, from this point on, which is only a minute into the review, but I don't know what else I can say about Path of Fire that's not spoilers other than just, I guess, I can't talk about this. The way that the mounts work with the Metroidvania style thing that I loved about Heart of Thorns is back, right? Now I have even more things that I'm learning, but instead of it being, hey, I'm getting these specific masteries, now it's, hey, I'm getting a mount, and then I'm adding the masteries on top of it in a way that I find really satisfying. I think that getting, hey, now you can jump gaps, now you can jump bigger gaps with the Raptor, is just a great extension of my moveset. Much the same with the Springer and the ability to go up. The ability to go up opens up so many more avenues, and the ability to go more up gives even more options. The skimmer and the ability to go over water at a much greater speed makes it a lot easier to get where I'm trying to go, and the ability to go over quicksand and sulfur. Just again, opening up my movement abilities is one of my favorite things that this game can do. I love it when I get to do it in the Living World seasons, and I'm really excited that I get a whole expansion of it here. And finally, push the Jackal, letting me move through sand portals or being able to dodge enemies. Very cool. I can't wait to get my other mounts that I know will be coming soon. Just because, again, I absolutely adore the four that I already have, and I use them all the time. The Warclaw, I guess, as well in World v World, but that's a separate thing. But I love these. They're so much fun. Other than that, though, we need to talk. We need to talk story. So, I guess we could talk difficulty real quick. I do think that the difficulty is a little bit easier maybe than Heart of Thorns, or it's just that I'm used to that level of difficulty now, and so this feels easier. I don't know. There are definitely a couple moments with the Hydras walking around the map. They're like, oh, okay, this is really difficult. But otherwise, I think that it's very solid difficulty wise. Yeah, this is a great expansion. So from this point on, we're talking story, we're talking spoilers. Let's get into it, and we're gonna break it down the way that we always do. I'm gonna walk it through, uh, starting off by riding on an airship, which always goes poorly for us. Uh, Fighting off the Herald of Balthazar. I really want to know who that character is, and maybe I just missed a couple details here or there, but I feel like I never got to find out who that character is. And again, I feel like I must have just missed a specific thing, right? But either way, really interesting fighting off the Herald of Balthazar as we just hammer down the fact that, hey, Balthazar kind of doesn't care about people at all, and it puts all of the six into a pretty interesting new view, right? I'm looking at them all very differently. Of like, all this time I've heard people praising them, and I've heard people talking about how great they are, and it's like, yeah, Balthazar kind of just doesn't care, and he will absolutely destroy civilians to grow his army. And we get our Raptor, we get that funny little moment with the uh extinguisher to be able to put out the flames, and then we make it to Amnoon. And man, Amnoon is a pretty cool place. I like it. The free city of Amnoon. There's some cool stuff going on there. The events are fun. The race, the casino, lots of fun stuff going on there. Story wise, we're kind of still in a bad place, right? From where we were in Living World Season 3. We've got Ritlock, we've got Casimir, and then we've got Canuck, because, he adds himself into the group here, basically. And I'm really glad for that. It was great having Canuck around all expansion. I really like him as a character. Glad he's on the team now. I mean, I guess he never officially joined, but he's on the team. Um, The stuff Amnoon politics, I found that I don't know. I feel like I get what they were going for, right? But I don't feel like they gave me a good reason not to say either, hey, Free City of Amnoon or the Sun Spears help. I don't feel like there was ever like a good reason to go with Joko, especially because like I don't have to know much about Joko to know that an undead leading an army that is kind of enslaving people is probably not a great thing. And there's stuff later in the domain of Vabi that puts Joko in a different light, but you don't get any of that here. And so the choice is very easy for me. I chose the Sun Spears because I like the Sun Spears. They're got a cool name and they look cool, which is probably not a good reason, but it's fine. I don't know. It's an interesting setup, right? I don't think it's the strongest chapter in all of these, but I think it's a very good setup chapter with some really cool set pieces. Then we get into Blazing a Trail. And this one's really interesting too because we're picking up information. We meet Archon Iberu, who ends up being very important later on. We find out about Vlast, and we're slowly piecing together what we need to know. And it takes a little while to get all the information, but all of that getting information sends you around Amnoon and sends you around the city and this first map, which is the Crystal Oasis, in a pretty good spread. And as we go out from there, we get to take on some forge camps. We have some fun there. And that's pretty much Blazing a Trail, right? It's a pretty good chapter. Again, good setup, and it encourages you to explore the desert a lot more in a really cool way. Night of Fires is where I started getting really excited because Night of Fires is, hey, we're going to take on this big camp. And then, hey, we may not have found him, but we're learning even more. We have that cool situation at Cormier's temple where we meet the Order of Shadows, which seems really cool. Break off of the Order of Whispers. And we meet Keto. And from there, it's like, hey, you should probably go like explore more and find more stuff because we're going to need you to. And that leads us into the sacrifice. So we get up into the desert highlands and basically you're told, hey, go explore, go find your Springer. Basically, they don't tell you that, but it's go find your Springer, get your mastery to be able to jump higher. You don't have to have that, I guess, but it definitely helps. And that's when we get into the big moment, which, man, I love this moment so much. We get up on the plateau and we just we lose really hardcore. We find out that Balthazar calls Ritlock a friend, and in trying to save us, Vlast dies. And we find out later on that Vlast was really depressed, and I feel really bad for Vlast. I think that when it comes to characters in this expansion, he is one of them that doesn't get a lot of time to shine, but the little bits we learn about him are really sad, and I just want Vlast to be able to be happy. And I guess maybe he is now. I don't know. I don't want to get into that, the themes there, but it's very powerful. It's very potent for sure. So then it's, hey, we got to figure out what's going on, and we learn the story of Ritlock is the one, while trying to find Sahathan in Miss, that freed Balthazar. And from there, it's, hey, we're going to find these fragments of Vlast that are his memories. And you get an item later that just lets you listen to them all again. And they're all just as sad as they were before, of him going like, sister, be careful. These people want to use you. And I wish I was free. And it's like, oh, man, poor Vlast. But we find out about a weapon, basically, that theoretically can kill Kralkatorrik. And we need Balthazar not to get that. So we have to get into Glint's lair to destroy it. And that's a cool sequence, right? I really like that sequence. It's a lot of fun. But inside there, we get I can't remember his name now. His name has completely left me. Snaff? Snaff's golem is there. And it's just like, man, that hurts. Ritlock just goes to stand in front of it. It's like, man, I never even got to meet Snaff, and I feel that through Ritlock. But we destroy the weapon, because we have to, right? And then we go to the Tower of Primeval Kings, and we have a fun time there talking to them, and and learning the history of Alonia. And you don't have to learn that stuff, but I found it really interesting. And then we go to meet the gods. Um, yeah, we had to solve a puzzle. The puzzle's actually really cool, but there's an achievement that's tied to like a timer on it, which is really stressful in a way. But I did it. But it's it's really cool meeting Cormier and finding out, hey, the other gods have already left. Like the reason that you spoke with a what's it called? Like it's not a henchman, but like one of the Reapers of Grenth is because when you were in Ore is because Grenth is like gone, man. He's not here anymore. They've all left except for Balthazar and Cormier, and Cormier is about to leave. And you get a lot of cool lore about what happened, about how Balthazar tried to turn against the gods because they wouldn't do what he wanted, and they banished him. And then, of course, Ritlock freed him. Man, there's a lot of cool stuff here. But one of my favorite parts about it is going to find all the extra books in the library and speaking to the people that work for Cormier that are just like, yeah, we knew she was leaving. We didn't know it'd be today. Because it just, again, it paints all of the gods in like a different light of they're supposed to be here for a purpose and they're just leaving. Where are they going? What is this greater purpose that Cormier says that she's been called to? What do they need to be doing? What are they dealing with out there that we don't even know about? And why does it necessitate them leaving everything they know here behind? Everyone that cares about them and everyone that worships them behind. There's also a really great moment with Casimir where it's just like, yeah, look, no. I have to do this on my own now. They left. We now have to stand up on our own 2 feet. It's like, heck yeah, Cass. That's exactly the development I was hoping when we had that breakdown in Living World Season 3. That's absolutely incredible. But she told us to seek answers in the desert. Cormier did. And so that's what we do. We get another chapter of, hey, go around the desert. And this includes the next map, which is the Elon Riverlands, the Ellen Riverlands. And that's a fun map. That's a really cool map. There's a lot going on there. You get your skimmer there. Had a good time there. Picked up all the answers. And I say all the answers. I picked up the ones that I found. There might have been more. I'm not sure. But we have to get to Kesho to find out what's going on with Vlast. And we do. And we meet we meet an Exalted there. And man, this is where things like really started to hurt. The Exalted were corrupted by whatever they were trying to do there to get to Vlast. And we get to hear some more of Vlast's memories and how much he just wanted to be free. And then the Exalted seals himself up in there so that we can go after trying to save Aurene, because Balthazar's going to want to use her next now that Vlast is gone. And we don't have the weapon anymore, but that just forces Balthazar's hand, basically, to go after Aurene. So we have to try and save her. However, in the situation that leads to the big fight to try and stop Balthazar before he can go for Aurene, Aurene comes to save us, and it's not enough. And we die. And this is my favorite part of this expansion. This is my favorite thing in all of it, is that we straight up die. Balthazar kills us, and we go to the Mist, the Domain of the Lost, and Grenth isn't there anymore, so there's just the judge he left in charge, and we don't remember anything, and we have to go, like, piece together who we were, and this leads us down a full memory trail, basically, that has us meet Forgel Kernson again, and has us meet Traherne again, and it has us see Air die again, and it just boom, 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 boom. And at the end of it, it's just, hey, I'm ready. We have to save Aurene right now. And we meet Joko while we're there, and that gives us the idea to use Joko's army against Balthazar. So we use, which is incredibly clever. I love that so much. We use we use Casimir's illusions to pretend to be Arkani Beru and build up Joko's forces to fight Balthazar, and it works. It's a really cool sequence where we slowly work our way up of winning over each of them in some pretty interesting fights. I loved controlling all of the Awakened. That was super cool. And then we go fight. And the fight is really cool. It's just a big battle for the most part, but it's elevated in my mind because we know Balthazar has Aurene and we want to save Aurene, and we have to work our way up this deal to try and follow the War Beast, and then we have to fight the War Beast. And all of this is wrapped in around the simple fact of, even if we get there, can we stop him this time? Even with Sohathan, which Ritlock gives us to fight him, can we stop him this time? Because last time he killed us. And we get to fight him, and this fight is so good. This fight has some of the best one-liners in the game, which is, at one point, Balthazar is just like, "What are you? You're not a dragon slayer if you're protecting them." I tried to combine slayer and hunter. If you're protecting them, so what are you? And the commander says, "Still standing." It's cool. Heck yeah, man. And so we fight him off, and we get Marine to help us, and together we win. And it's super cool. And then Aurene leaves, and Krakatorrik absorbs Balthazar's power like the dragons are absorbing each other's power. And then he leaves. And we're not in a much better situation than we were before, because now Krakatorrik's attacking the desert. And we're going to get to that, I guess, but like, it is amazing to me that each one of these expansions and Living World seasons can somehow end in a cliffhanger that has me so stoked to play the next one. When, hey, we did it. We killed Balthazar. We did the big thing. Oh, there's Krakatorrik. Oh, okay. Our list of things we have to kill is still really long, and we can't kill them yet because we don't know how to stabilize them, but we're going to figure it out because Timey's here now. But then we get the victory party, right? The small victory. We get the victory party, and this allows us to go through here and attempt to soothe these people and make sure they know everything's okay. I gave them somber and then some uplifting stuff because I didn't want to just lie to them. But it doesn't really matter because as soon as the party's over, Krakatorrik attacks and we cliffhang. And I like this story a lot. I don't think I like it as much as Heart of Thorns, right? I think Heart of Thorns is a little bit more heavy hitting for me because of how much I like Traherne. But I still really enjoyed Path of Fire. And a lot of that for me is that I think I kind of like these maps more than Heart of Thorns maps. I like getting around the Heart of Thorns maps more because I get to feel more of that like accomplishment as I got those masteries. But I just think these maps are better maps. There's more to do. There's more cool stuff going on. There's a lot of enemies everywhere, so it can be kind of a pain to try and mount up again after you got dismounted. But hopefully masteries will help me with that. But I just really like the Crystal Desert, and I'm excited for the Living World episodes for Living World Season 4 that will give me more of the Crystal Desert. I like the stuff going on in the Domain of Vabi, where the people are living alongside the Awakened, and how weird and cool that is. I like the various different, I guess, like, it's not, what's the right word here? I wanted to say, like, map types, but it's really not. It's all bled together really well of, like, Krakatorrik's previous attacks that have left some stuff branded. And then there's also, like, the snowy mountains from the Shiver Peaks that have come all the way down here. And then there's the raw desert part of it, but then there's also the wetlands at the bottom of the Ellen Riverlands. And then there's the sulfur from the desolation, It's all, and then Domain of Vabi is kind of like lush and green in places. It feels really cool and visually distinct in each section of the maps, while all tying together in a way that feels realistic to me. And I really like these maps. I'm excited to get into Living World Season 4 and see what's going to be going on there. But I don't know, I guess, like, my favorite characters in this were definitely Canuck and Ritlock and their little rivalry going on. The fact that Ritlock asks you if you came to talk to him first or Canuck first at the end is just really good. Still love Timey, of course. Casimir got her big moment, and I was happy to have it. And Jory comes back at the end, and I'm really excited to have Jory back in my life because I love Jory, and that they're reconnected, Cass and Jory, and they seem to be doing okay. We'll see where things go from here. It seems like we're gonna try and re-recruit Bram and Rox, and I'm always down for more Rox. I don't know if I'm down for more Bram, but we'll see. I don't think he's gonna be on board. But our next goal is going to be saving Aureen, which I'm all in for. I love Aureen. She's so precious, and we need to save her. And I'm really enjoying where the story's going. I think that the continued growth of these characters has been really good so far. And I'm hoping we can stick the landing with Bram. But I do know that I've got 3 more stories to go through, and hopefully by the time I get through Living World Season 4, Iceberg Saga, and End of Dragons, the next Living World will be announced. So I'm all in. I'm excited to get more of Guild Wars 2 and get into everything. And I'm excited to get my flying mounts. I know I'm not that far away now. I just got to keep working on it. But all that is to come. I really like Path of Fire. I think my favorite moment is still when we died. Going through the Domain of the Lost was really, really cool, and trying to piece together who we were and put it all back together, and then just going, yeah, I'm the commander. I have to save Aureen. All told, Path of Fire, it's a firm recommendation for me. I really liked it. I think if I had to rank it right now, we're going to do a big ranking video when we're done with all of it, but I think if I had to rank it right now, it is just behind Heart of Thorns, but still very, very good. I like it a lot. And again, I got a lot of my favorite characters, Ritlock, Canuck, and Casimir, this whole expansion, and what else could I have asked for? I don't know, I don't know who we would add, but I kind of hope we can add somebody from the Crystal Desert to the team. That would be cool. I don't know who it would be. It's probably not going to be like Quito or anything, but maybe we'll meet somebody in Living World Season 4. I don't know. I also, would love for Bram to stop being lone wolf guy and be old Bram again. That would be great. And I don't know. I feel like we need like one more person just to round out the team. But maybe Jory being back will bring that together. But I'd love to find out who the Herald was too. Again, if I missed something there, I got to figure that out. But I really enjoyed Path of Fire, and I'm really looking forward to Living World Season 4. And I feel like there's definitely more things that normally I would say if I wasn't sick, but I don't know what they are. So I'm just going to leave it here and say that I really enjoyed Path of Fire, and there was a moment when we were dead that I honestly didn't know how that was going to go. And then as soon as we started doing the history stuff, I was like, I love this. I absolutely adore this. I love taking this walk down memory lane and reaffirming for my commander what is important. And the line that he says is, I have to save Aureen. Heck yeah, let's do it, Yeah, I'm going to remember Path of Fire for a long time, I think. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well. Until next time, I've been Trey. Please don't spoil anything for the future. And we've been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Path of Fire has to offer. Editor Trey here. And still sick. I got my Griffin. It took a lot of work running around doing stuff. And I didn't want to capture any of that footage because I didn't want to spoil that process for people. But it was super worth it. It's so cool to have a flying mount now. I can't wait to take it everywhere and to be able to play with it. And yeah, I absolutely loved that quest line. It was really fun, really cool. Made me do a lot of stuff that I had not yet done in Path of Fire. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get started on that. So throw that in there and say how cool the Griffin quest is with the Sun Spears. And yeah, if you haven't, you should definitely do that.